Excellence is the capacity to take pain. That is a quote by Isidore Sharpe, founder of the Four Seasons hotel chain. Escaping gravity, why pain matters. About a year ago, I started a video diary called 11 kilometers per second to share with my fellow black men the two biggest obstacles to reaching one's potential. The name 11 kilometers per second is the speed an object must reach to escape Earth's gravity. It is also a metaphor for the velocity we must generate to overcome the forces in our lives that hold us down. The two forces are clear. The fear of judgment from others, a topic I explore in my article on the relational power framework, and our aversion to pain, the discomfort we instinctively avoid. Most of us spend our lives chasing pleasure and avoiding discomfort, but the evidence suggests true fulfillment rarely comes from indulgence. Growth and real satisfaction comes from learning to endure and even embracing the pain required to reach higher levels of achievement. What pain really is. I define pain as anything the mind or body isn't yet adapted to and that doesn't trigger the neurochemicals of pleasure. Those neurochemicals include dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, or endorphins. That definition may seem simple, but it's actually radical. It means that pain includes boredom, studying, trying something new, doing anything unfamiliar, and every activity that feels uncomfortable enough that your brain tries to force you to not do it. It also means that pain is both physical and mental. Physical pain signals danger because injury could lead to our death, but mental pain means wasted energy. In a world that we were evolving in, where scarcity was the norm, wasting calories could also spell danger. And so the instinct to avoid discomfort isn't actually just laziness. It's an ancient survival code. So this definition will also carry some good news. If pain is just something you haven't adapted to yet, then your system can actually adapt. What feels uncomfortable today can become neutral tomorrow and even pleasurable next month. That's why some people become addicted to exercise or why workaholics use work as their coping mechanism. Your threshold for pain can grow, and with it, your capacity for effort grows too. In other words, your work ethic can be trained. The two paths to building work ethic. This brings us to the question, how do you raise your threshold for pain? There are two ways. Let's discuss them. Creating systems. So how do you raise your threshold for pain? The first, and usually the slower path, is to build systems. James Clear, author of Atomic Habit, puts it perfectly. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. That line acknowledges human nature. Changing a habit isn't about willpower, it's about creating structures that make the desired behavior easier and the old behavior harder. Think about putting your keys by the door so you don't forget them before you leave. It's not about remembering, it's about removing the need to remember. One important mindset for creating systems is learning to operate from a want rather than a should. A should feels oppressive, and the mind instinctively resists it. No one wants to be told, even by himself, that he is not enough. A want, on the other hand, pulls you forward. If you start from, I want to look good because I want attention, or I want to make more money because I want to buy a PS5, the work stops feeling like punishment and instead starts feeling like the price of admission for something you actually desire. That is also why the wants need to be small and immediately attainable, not grand abstractions like, I want to be a billionaire. So a good system is implementing incremental progress by building momentum and then seeing the resulting commitment through increased investment. When you aim at a result that demands a level of pain far beyond what you're currently adapted to, you are not being ambitious. You are setting yourself up to quit. Progress works best when each step stretches you just enough that you stay engaged long enough to change. The harsh teacher. That said, systems only work if you know the standards you're aiming for. It's easy to lay out your gym clothes the night before. It's another thing to avoid scrolling on your phone for half of the workout once you get there. And if you had someone there pushing you, you probably wouldn't waste that time. Understanding this truth, let's discuss the other and the oldest, fastest, and most common way to gain great work ethic: being forced. Demanding parents, relentless coaches, and hard-driving bosses are the quickest catalysts for growth because they override your built-in aversion to discomfort. The strongest predictor of a child's academic success is parental involvement, which is really just another word for enforced discipline. And adults are no different. A Miranda Priestley boss is effective because our natural preference for comfort means we rarely push ourselves to our true limits voluntarily. Without pressure, we stay at the level our psychology prefers, not the level our potential allows. Learning from a demanding boss is often painful, but the pain is the lesson. If the two forces that hold us back are fear of judgment and the aversion to pain, then harsh criticism directly attacks both. As a boss, a parent, and a sensitive human being, I always aim for patience and gentle coaching. But I've also delivered harsh criticism when time was short or when a solution seemed so obvious that it felt like the other person simply wasn't engaging. Whether that instinct is always fair is its own conversation, but the impact is undeniable. The possibility of harsh criticism raises the stakes, makes failure feel real, and that pressure produces rapid growth. One reason adults struggle to learn compared to children is precisely that. Adults rarely experience external force. Unless mandated by a court or forced by a crisis, no one can make an adult improve. So most adults drift. Children grow because they are required to grow. Adults grow only when pain corners them into change. Why this matters now. Up to this point, everything I've said describes the internal work required to escape personal gravity. Overcoming fear, building discipline, and expanding your tolerance for pain. But the world outside is changing in ways that will make this internal work even more important. We're not just fighting our biology anymore. We're facing a shifting economic landscape that threatens to remove the very pathways that humans have traditionally used to gain competence. So to understand what's at stake, we have to look at how work itself is evolving. The coming collapse of work as we know it. Learning is already being forced to evolve. Not because we wanted to, but because the employment structure built over thousands of years is beginning to collapse. Artificial intelligence is accelerating this collapse. Companies are cutting hiring because AI can now perform more and more tasks once reserved for entry-level workers. And that is the most dangerous long-term consequence of AI. When entry-level roles disappear, so does the pipeline of experience required to produce managers. Without entry-level learning, no one develops the institutional knowledge needed to run anything. Eventually, you get organizations filled with people who have job titles but no actual competency. And at the highest level, no one who truly understands how the system works. What we must do next. So what's the solution? Assuming AI doesn't overrun our system before we understand its consequences, legislation will eventually have to intervene. AI may need to be regulated for the same reason societies restrict drug use. Both have the potential to make entire populations unproductive. But regulation is a long-term play. Right now, we need to rethink how we educate people. We call what colleges offer education, but the cost keeps rising while many professors lack real-world experience required to provide practical advice. A better model is for families to pay businesses directly to take them on as interns. Training stops being a cost and becomes a revenue stream. And employers no longer need to fear losing trained workers because they'll simultaneously gain the trained workers that are leaving their competitors. That same principle should extend to the explosion of online certifications. Platforms like Udemy can efficiently deliver knowledge, but knowledge without application is not education, it's consumption. We shouldn't be paying for theory alone. We should be paying for opportunities to apply that theory under real-world constraints, where performance matters and feedback is unavoidable. In this model, certifications become an entry point, not an endpoint, and businesses become the proving ground where learning is validated through execution. Escaping gravity together. Escaping gravity, whether personal or societal, requires a relationship with pain that most people never develop. If fear of judgment and aversion to discomfort are the forces that hold us down, then discipline, pressure, and real-world training are the engines that push us upward. The future of work will demand people who can adapt quickly, learn deeply, and handle discomfort better than previous generations. Systems help, demanding mentors help, but ultimately, our ability to take pain, physical, mental, or emotional, is what determines whether we rise or fall in a world where the old pathways to competence are disappearing. If we don't evolve our relationship to pain, AI won't need to take our jobs. We will have already surrendered them. So next week, what I wanted to do is talk about how to become an A player, something that is necessary for success, whether you're an employee or you own your own business. However, I have been thinking about the world as it exists for my daughter, who goes to my alma mater, Howard University. And I have some thoughts about what she needs to do with respect to relationship to men. And so I am going to dedicate next week's episode an article that I've already written to her and all of the good girls out there that need to figure out how to navigate this interesting new world that we live in. I think it is something that is interesting and something that will be interesting for my main audience, which is men, both because you either may have daughters, or because you already have daughters, and because I think, understanding the dynamics also helps us to work better with one another, Black men and Black women. So next episode is on women, on young ladies, women, and so check that out. Next episode, and then the episode after that, we will talk about how to become an A player. See you then.